Cheers and welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, we're talking about the FrizzLife water filter. And, okay, I'm not gonna do a video on how to install it. I'm gonna do a video on how to modify it. That's right, you heard me, how to modify it for home brewing and for enjoyment around the house, enjoyment for whatever you may wanna use it for. And their instructions, I'm sorry, in this little quick installation guide, they're awesome. Yeah, I know I said sorry and you thought I was gonna say something negative. They're awesome, they're easy to follow, and they have a video. I'll leave a link below on their video on how to install it. Super simple. If you have that, and I'm not a mechanical person, if you have that much ability to, build stuff, make stuff, hell, if you can assemble IKEA furniture, this will probably be easier. I'm just saying. And yes, of course, like I mentioned previously, this was sent to me. I will leave a link down below, hook you up with a nice discount. It is an affiliate link, but it gets you a huge discount on the 600, 800, or the 1000, or several other systems they have. But the simplicity of this is awesome, okay? That's why I like it, is the simplicity. Plus, for those people out there that are very health conscious like myself, there are some cool things we can do to get 3 types of water out of this. That's right, 3, you heard me, 3. Technically 4 if you want just straight water, and you can get that now, but 3 types of water. So I'm gonna go over some modifications that you're gonna wanna strongly consider, especially if you're brewing beer. You're definitely gonna wanna consider it. All of them are super easy, super easy. I'm also gonna go over some of the equipment that comes with it and things that I didn't see as, pushed in your face, should we say, or made sure that you fully understood in the instructions. And I wanna make sure you fully understand it and have the comprehension to say, oh yeah, I don't wanna forget that, or yeah, I wanna do that, or no, I don't wanna do that. Either way. I'm gonna mention how you can take this, have the water coming up out of either your own system that you go buy like this, or the stainless steel nickel plated faucet, I guess you'd call it. You can have the water coming out of there, you can have it coming out of a different system, and you can have the water that comes out of here shooting over to your ice maker. Yeah, that's right. Very, very simple. It's all very simple. Now, the ice maker and your sink, if they're not close to each other, that might be another issue, but just saying, you shouldn't need to hire a plumber for this. It's not that hard. So let's jump right in. Okay, you get a FrizzLife. Comes with a TAM. That is your alkaline, to get just a slight alkaline, not that nasty black water that some people drink. I'm sorry, that's just gross. It's like drinking a mud puddle. Yeah, natural, it's just gonna give you a little bit more alkaline, a little more mineralization. If you want, you could brew your stout from this and then brew your lighter beers from here. But we're also gonna talk about a third-party item. It's not part of Frizzle, but it's just something to consider. And this is just a generic one that I grabbed, but it's a deionizing filter. There's lots of them on there. I'll leave links down below for the FrizzLife system, and of course, a deionizing filter, and a few other things. One thing that, let's just put it politely, my wife drives me nuts, is she worries a lot. She worries a lot, okay? You can add something to your FrizzLife that doesn't come with it, and it doesn't come with most RO systems that I've seen. This little guy, I don't have one, but you can add one. I have one here that I could use, and I may use in the house. It's a tiny little valve, and I'll leave it down below, but what you do is you run the water before it comes up to this faucet into here, or you can run it from here into there, however you want to do it. But the key is the water comes in here, comes back out. This has got a little tablet, and it's made of like paper. So what happens is if you get a leak and it gets wet, it pops up. What does it do when it pops up? It shuts off the water flow. So that's your call. Somebody who was a little bit more into plumbing convinced me I didn't really need one, and I haven't had a problem, so I'm good. So just saying. So let's jump right into this. How are you gonna set this up? And before we jump into the 3-way water system, I wanna go over a few basic items, okay? First, this is probably the most intimidating item for most people who've never done anything like this. You're simply gonna turn off your water at your sink. You're gonna take this. I would recommend the Teflon tape. It comes with Teflon tape, okay? You can watch a video on how to apply Teflon tape. It's not hard, but make a couple good coats on there. Tighten it on nice and tight. It should be nice and snug. Don't break anything, just nice and snug. And yeah, make sure it's off, on, off. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty confident. And then you're gonna screw, and this needs Teflon tape too. And then you're gonna screw your regular water system back onto here that's going up to your normal sink. This is a tap. What it's doing is it's allowing you to get water directly from your faucet before it gets to the faucet. So on this piece, you're gonna open it up. It does show this in the instructions. It uses the slightly larger tube. It comes with, FrizzLife comes with the little tube and the large tube. Okay, I think that's 1/4 inch. I can't remember what this is, but needless to say, take the big one, put it in really hot water. Like it was just boiling a minute ago and now it's just really hot. Leave it in there for a good solid minute or two. What you'll find is when you take this bolt off, it has a flare, it'll slide on a lot easier. Just make sure that you put this screw already on it, or you can go all the way around and you tighten it down. And what it's gonna do is the plastic tubing is gonna have a flare to it and it's gonna be sticking out a little, and then that nut is gonna kind of snug it down so it doesn't ever come out, and you're good. Your tubing's on there. You put the whole tubing on there. You can always cut it to size once you get everything in place, but it's easier just to put the whole tubing on and then decide how much you're gonna cut. If you pre-cut it and you do all that, you might be a little short. The system does come with a razor blade. It's in the packet. It looks just like any other razor blade out there. And you wanna make sure your cuts, if you do cut, are very flush, very clean. 90 degrees like this, not a weird angled cut. You don't need that. We're not trying to, slub it, poke it in one of those little bubble drinks. You don't need that, okay? So now you have your tap on here. You're also gonna want your drain. I usually have been told to put this up a little higher. That way, if your drain gets backed up a little, it's not kind of kicking back. It shouldn't anyways, there'll be a little bit of pressure. But what this does is it allows any of the wastewater to then go back into the drain system. And it literally kind of like putting it around your arm and pinching it down. You're gonna need a 1/4 inch drill bit. Most people have a few drill bits around. Most people have a 1/4 inch drill bit. That's the more popular ones for sizes. And you don't drill through here because you could scratch it up and damage it. You simply drill the hole and then you line this up. Keep in mind, you had this little tiny square cushion, like a little grommet. You poke the hole out. As you'll see, it's already pre-punched. I don't know if you can see that, but you poke that out. You take the double stick tape off and you make sure you can see through here. You're good. The other thing you're gonna wanna do, now these nuts come off so you can put it on both sides, is make sure that these nuts end up inside those little holes. If they don't, it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have to get a wrench and you don't wanna do that. You don't need it. That's gonna hold it in place. Well, you use either a Phillip or a flathead screwdriver to tighten it down. You're not trying to break your pipes, you're just trying to make sure it's nice and snug, that's all. That way any liquid coming through gets shot into the drain, goes down the drain, no problem, you're good. You're also gonna get some parts. You're gonna get quite a few little parts. And some of the parts look like this. Okay? In the instructions, it will tell you to pop this on. These little blue pieces on here, you can pop them off, pop it on, and then snap them back on. I don't know if there's a need to take those off and put the other ones on. I think those will be fine. They do include different sizes based on the connector, but you're gonna wanna use these after you push the tubing in. So on the tubing, they all use a system that a lot of home brewers are familiar with called Duo-Tight. It's got this little piece of plastic piece in here and it's got a little O-ring inside. And it's also got some metal. So what happens is you push the tubing all the way in, and when you pull it out, it gets nice and snug. Well, if you push it all the way in and you pull it out a tiny bit, that little piece of plastic kind of hangs down. That's where you take the horseshoe. This is a bigger one, so you can see it on the camera, but of the right size. With the little horseshoe piece that sticks up facing outward, you poke it in and it'll snap in place. And what it's doing is it's locking it, so it's not as easy to accidentally tug out, because how do you tug it out? You have to push it down, pull the hose. Well, if this is in the place, you can't push it down. It's a safety piece, that's all. Just trying to keep you from having a leak, that's all. You got a cat in your house and it gets under your sink and knocks something loose, you got a problem. This will help prevent that, or at least greatly reduce the possibilities. So we talked about this, we got 2 of them. Why do you put them on here? So you don't have to wrap your hose around and come into here. You could, but instead your hose can go right on here. Same thing, it's got those little pieces, you're gonna pop the blue piece in, but it just snaps in place on both sides, so then the hose can come straight in. So we have that part done. Now, we still need this for something else. Remember, anytime you've got to screw something together, you get your piping tape or Teflon tape. Same thing like this thing. This thing came with little plastic pieces I had to put in, came with it. Well, guess what? It also has little blue horseshoes. And I put the Teflon tape on there so it's nice and snug. People complained about this thing leaking, and I'm betting they didn't put any Teflon tape because it wasn't the majority. It was a small amount of people saying that it leaked. What do you need if you want to do the system as is, either direct FrizzLife RO? You need nothing extra. What do you need? Well, you need the drill bit, and you might need some other, like a screwdriver. What do you need if you want to go from the FrizzLife to the alkaline? Nothing. What do you need if you want to go from the FrizzLife and you want the alkaline or bypass the alkaline? That's where you're going to need some stuff, and it's very inexpensive. I think I spent like $9 or $10 on some of this stuff. I may have spent a little bit more because sometimes I get the crazy kits that have extras. That same kit will work if I want to go three-way. So what's the three-way? Three-way is really easy. I'm going to have RO water. I'm going to have alkaline water for drinking, RO for pretty much everything, cooking, whatever I want to do. And then I have deionized water. Why do you want deionized water? Well, for two reasons. One, if you have a fish tank that you're doing salt water and you want to balance all the minerals, you're going to need it. But what do? I brew beer. I brew stuff. So for home brewing, I like to control my minerals. That's right. I put the brewing salts in, which things like Epsom salt, calcium chloride, gypsum, chalk, salt without iodine, baking soda, certain types of ingredients to either make my water more alkaline, more acidic, softer, harder. There's certain things I want from certain beers, and because of that, I want an extremely neutral water. Well, with this system on the RO, you'll already notice once we get it all hooked up in another video, that the TDS, total dissolved solids, is going to be really, really, really low, like stupid low. This is just going to grab those extra bits of solids. That's all it is. The minerals, basically the 3 parts per million or the 4 parts per million, which seems excessive, but that way I know I have neutral water. How am I going to hook up all 3 of these and have a choice of which one I want? Okay, I'm not going to do it with some little computer system. I'm not going crazy. We're going to do this a very simple, very inexpensive way. It is a little manual. You got to reach down and turn a knob and maybe turn a different one, but that's okay. Just like turning the water knob. It's all good. So I'm going to lay this out real quick and we're going to resume. Okay, the kit I bought, of course, comes with the little horseshoe pieces, but it also comes with these. These split things out from either 2 to 1 or 1 to 2. Then I also have on-off valves. Let's put them to use. Okay, I'm showing you this before I hook it all up on a sink because it's going to be very hard to see. Okay, so first of all, let me pop this out. I'm using some flexible hose, which is dual-tight hose, if you know, or EVA hose, if you want to. But this is what I've done. Yeah, see how that is? What I've done is I have the water that's going from the RO to 3 different. So the water is going to flow out of 3 different ports. It's basically a 1 to 3. I couldn't find a 1 to 3, so this is a 1 to 3 built, and that's all it is. It's all hooked together. I haven't put the little blue horseshoes in there yet because I'm not 100% ready to install it. So I just want to show you that. Okay, you got it? Okay, you need this on one end, and then you flip it around. You're going to need this on the other end. Same thing. So you need one on one end, one on the other end. Okay, now let me hook that one back up. What you're going to do then is on the other end, you're going to take that same 3-way and you're going to add some more hose and these little on-off. Okay. So I have, I don't know if you can see, there you go. So it's coming from 2, and there's another one over there. So it's the 1 to 3. But what you're doing here is you're taking 3 to 1. Okay, 3 to 1. And no, you should not need check valves. The key is you want this on the other side of the filter, so the water's pushing up against there with pressure. You're fine. You should be fine. And then whenever you turn one on, you're going to get that water. So if this is the straight, which is going to come from here, go straight across and connect back to here, that's your RO water. It's already it's just straight RO. You can buy different color hoses. That does make life a lot easier. That way you have different colors. You can put little tags on them. You can, you know, paint them. You can do whatever you want. You can mark the piece with a little tag. I've done that with label guns. That way I know which one is which for wiring and hoses and tubing. But now you're gonna run one hose straight across. I would recommend running the back one, the closest one to the FrizzLife, to the furthest one. That way you're the furthest away. You know that's just straight RO water, okay? You turn that bad boy on, you got RO water. Nice, soft water. You turn it off, then you pick which one you want to use on the top and bottom and the top and bottom. And you're simply gonna run one hose to your Deionizer filter. You're gonna have another one run to your TAM filter. That's it. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's super simple, super simple. And what you're gonna find is that you're probably gonna run one type of water most of the time. I would say that if I'm just running regular water for cooking, which is what I use a lot of water for, I'm just gonna be running RO. If this is installed in my brew space, I'm probably gonna run distilled water the majority of the time. Because remember, you're still using your faucet for cleaning. It's not going through the filter. You got straight city water for cleaning, no problem. But maybe I really want some alkaline water, or I want to do a test. I want to see what it is versus my brewing salts and a lightly alkaline water for a stout. You could do a test. You could flip one switch and you're gonna get different water. Now, yes, I know some of you out there that are OCD are gonna say, oh, that last little micro bit of like 1/4 of an ounce or 1/8 of an ounce is whatever the previous water was. Okay, you turn it on for a second, it's gone. You're gonna have your TAM water, which is your alkaline water, or you turn it and you have your RO water, or you have your deionized water, or a lot like distilled. Basically, it doesn't have the mineral content, which is a good thing when you're brewing. But yeah, it's that simple. I like the ideal of colored hoses. I can't remember things, I get confused. Putting a label on it with a little label gun is super, super simple. You get a little P-touch, done. You can even put a label on both ends, that way you'd never get confused. And you have now taken the FrizzLife filter system and stepped it up one more notch. You now have the ability to switch between RO, deionized, whatever. Now there is a little trick for your ice. Yeah, I know, you're like, what do you mean, another trick? Another trick. So, this is a T connector. It's kind of what I would recommend. You could use no, let's think about this. Yeah, you could use one of the little splitters like I have on here. That would work too. But what you want to do is, if you want to be able to change your ice, which I don't think most people would want to do that, you're going to put this on the other end before it goes to the faucet, and that will go out to your ice maker. What you're probably going to want on your ice is you're probably going to want it to be RO water, or maybe distilled if you're using it for, if you really want to take a chance and throw it in your beer to chill it down, you can do that. And you put that before it goes to the on-off. That way it's constantly flowing and going to your ice maker. There's no changing types of water. That one type of water you chose for your ice maker is always going through there. Can you change it later? Yeah, you're gonna have to change some hoses, not a big deal. But yeah, all day long. So like I have my ice maker here in my brewery, it's running distilled, or not distilled, sorry, deionized, 100%. So I've got pure deionized water going to my ice maker. If I wanted to change it to RO, I would change the tap and go over the little T connector, move some hoses around, and boom, I could have alkaline water, or boom, I could have RO water. The options are endless. So a little T connector. So what do you need? What do you need? I know some people are like, oh, dude, this sounds cool. Okay, what do you need? Well, you're gonna need, of course, the FrizzLife, whichever one you choose, whether it's the 400, 600, 600, 800, or 1000, and they have some other systems out there. If you're gonna be doing it for brewing and stuff, you're gonna need a deionized filter. I'm gonna leave links for all this stuff down below. You're gonna need, if you do two-way, all you need is 2 of these. You're gonna have one on each end. If you're gonna do three-way, you're gonna need 4 of these little brackets up here, okay? Then you're gonna need either 2 for two-way or 3 for three-way to on and off, and only on that exiting side, okay? Not a big deal. You're gonna need some hoses. I'll leave links down below if you decide you wanna get some colored hoses. It does make life a little easier. You don't need any extra hoses for FrizzLife. If you're just doing their stuff, you're fine. You may have enough here for extra hose to do maybe the two-way, maybe the three-way, but definitely probably the two-way, and do it yourself. Not a big deal. You don't need to buy more hose. You will still need some of these. If you want to go to ice maker, you could do, like I said, either one of these would work, that type of connector or the little T bracket. I've just seen the T bracket in the instructions. It makes a lot of sense. The packet I'm gonna recommend that comes with a lot of this stuff will come with these. It did not have enough of these. So, and most of the hoses are kind of sturdy. They're kind of solid. They do bend, but you want to bend them. You may want to heat them up to get a little bit more bend to them if you need to bend them a little more. I mean, that one's not too bad. It's pretty flexible. You can use, like I used here, I used the regular EVA barrier hose for brewing. It's a little more flexible, not much more, but it's a little more flexible. And that's it. I know it sounds a little confusing. It's pretty simplistic. If you get stuck, you know, throw a comment down there. I'll try to reply as quickly as I can, go over that. If you're freaked out about water under your sink and it could leak, these things are pretty inexpensive. You don't need a total dissolved solid meter check on the RO because your FrizzLife is going to tell you. I will leave a link down below for a total dissolved solid tester that you can put in line if you want it on the distilled or the, as I call it, deionized side. I run one like that on a deionized side for my current system just because I want to know that I'm at as close to 0 parts per million. I usually run about 3 parts per million. I have seen this thing running 3 to 7 as far as from videos and other people doing it. This is supposed to get to 0. It's not gonna stay 0. You know, it has a shelf life. Other thing I was going to mention on the FrizzLife, and I totally forgot, is in the instruction manual, I told you some of the filters I think go to 2 years. Yeah, they go 1 to 2 years, but some of these filters are rated for up to 1,000 or up to 2,000 gallons. Okay, keep in mind that that means you could easily go over a year or even 2 years, but there may also be what they consider a shelf life on some filters. So although you might be going 1.5 years, you might not get the same return on it if you had one that was only 1 year old, even though maybe you've done a lot less water. Just something to keep in mind. I'm not a filter expert. I don't know all that details on the different types of filters and which ones, you know, just last as long as they're under pressure and have water in them, or the ones that break down on their own over time, even without water flowing through them. So, you know, your mileage may vary. But yeah, like I said, I'll leave a link, nice discount down below. And yes, it is an affiliate link, but it'll hook you up, put one in your cart, toss the discount in, check it out, see, you know, if that works for you. My big thing is I'm tired of standing in line, and I haven't stood in line for, gosh, almost 1.5 years now, close to 2 years, at any grocery store to buy my distilled water. I don't need to anymore. I bottle it here. I had some jugs. I keep that full. I keep some other things full. Hurricanes come, storms come. I've got plenty of water. I don't need to go buy any. And it's cheaper that way. Cheers. Appreciate you. Show some love. Check them out. FrizzLife. Yeah, just nice, convenient, easy, simple. You know, if you're into all the little pieces, go ahead. But if you want something nice and simple, yeah. This is kind of cool too. I know some people that are big into the health, and I am to a degree, but yeah, as long as it tastes good, I'm happy. Cheers.